Hopefully we won't have too many issues tonight.
Yeah. Thanks. Really? No, it's got a shopping cart in front of you. Oh, okay.
Feeling good. How about you? Good. Your kids have a good holiday and so far, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
Back in uniform?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real relaxing.
I spent
Stayed at home. We got two of our kids are already outside. They've already grown and moved out, you know, so it was nice to have everyone together. And, yeah, it was good. Yeah. That is hard when you are jumping. That's how we usually are, going from place to place. And this year was nice. Just
I'm not a fan.
I may sit here. Like you need another holiday just to recoup from the other, yeah.
Or I may go out there.
Now, are your boys, are they, is your oldest boy, is he in elementary? He's, yes, okay.
I'm not offended in any way. Now I'm jinxed by you.
You know, I'm going to feel really bad if that's happening.
So you're doing the e-learning too at home.
Right.
Does the 17-year-old at Pendleton then?
Yes. He's actually a Carnegie.
Okay, yeah. That's a good start.
He's got like home credit.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
We do have a quorum.
That's Madison. She graduates this spring. And yeah, she's thinking about Ivy Tech. She's like, I don't want to go far, and she's not really comfortable being out the dorm, you know, this and that. So.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this meeting going. Well, after 6. We'll call this meeting to order of the Redevelopment Commission meeting. January 7th, first one of the year 2021. An oath of office.
We won't have to do that one because we have all the same members, and as long as town council for next term, we're good. So we don't have to worry about that one.
We're all oathed in, everybody.
Yep.
Let's do a roll call then. Let's start with.
I can do it for you if you'd like.
Okay.
Adam Truman.
Here via Zoom.
For you. Dave Cravens is not present. Steve Denny.
Here.
Craig Campbell.
Here.
Lynn Mellinger.
Here via Zoom.
And Bill Hutton is also not present.
Is there a pen on that table right there?
Thank you.
Because I set all my stuff down.
We got next on the agenda is election of office.
Never mind. I found it. Okay.
All right. Let me double check and make sure you guys need to appoint all 3 of those.
Yes, we do, Rachel.
All 3 of them? Thank you, Jen.
Yes.
So I guess what you'll do is someone can make a motion for someone to serve as president, and we'll go from there.
I would like to make a motion to have Craig Campbell continue on as RDC president.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second.
We'll do a roll call vote again.
Roll call vote.
All right. Adam Truman.
Aye.
Dave Cravens is not here. Steve Denny.
Aye.
Craig Campbell.
Aye.
Lynn Mellinger.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Same deal with the vice president. We have a motion for a vice president.
I'll make a motion to keep it Steve Denny.
I'll second that motion. Roll call vote.
Adam Truman,
Aye.
Steve Denny,
Yes.
Craig Campbell,
Aye.
Lynn Mellinger.
Aye.
Thank you, Steve. Secretary, do we have a motion for a secretary?
I'll make a motion to nominate Lynn Mellinger.
I'll second the motion if Lynn's good with that.
I'll vote. Adam Truman,
Aye.
Steve Denny,
Aye.
Craig Campbell,
Aye.
Lynn Mellinger.
Aye.
Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, Adam, everybody. Next on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
Any discussion or questions about the minutes of the last meeting?
If there's no questions, I'll make the motion that we accept the meetings. The minutes of the last meeting.
We have a motion to accept the minutes as written of the last meeting. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
I second.
Lynn, second. If I no other questions or comments, all in favor of accepting the motion, the minutes as written, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, minutes pass. Old business. We are going to change up the ranking here a little bit. We're going to let the folks with the quadrant master plan go first. So, from Kimberly Horn. So,
Let me, real quick, since our last, I guess we had an October RDC meeting. I was off on my meeting dates, but we did get the market analysis report completed, which I'm sure Ken will speak about a little bit tonight. The full document is in your Google Drive folder. We've also done some utility coordination meetings with the water, electric, and sanitary sewer. So all of those utilities we've talked with them, and Alan's taken some great notes and gotten information about utility information. And then, of course, we've worked as staff on the layout, and we're really excited to see what you guys have to think. And this is a starting point for discussion. None of this is set in place. We're not looking for a recommendation tonight. We're just looking for feedback. Are we on the right track? Is this what our redevelopment commission wants to see moving forward? You know, we want your feedback to help craft this and mold this into what really is going to be great for Pendleton. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ken.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm Ken Riemenschneider with Kimberly Horn. And unfortunately, for those of you that are virtually, I don't think we have a way to. You have the files and you can pull them up? Okay. So I'm going to start with talking a bit about the market analysis that we had done. So this study area is over 1,300 acres in size. It's a large area. And we see a lot of potential within this area. And this is a long-range master plan. Pendleton is a unique community in Madison County, given your market position. You're a very, very attractive community to residents. You have good demographics. And you are in the path of development as development moves up the I-69 corridor. And so thinking about what you want to have happen in this area will help you attract the kind of private investment that you would like to have become part of your community. And so one of the first things we did as we started studying this area is we did a market analysis to understand market presence better. And I'm not going to go into a great amount of detail. We have about a 50-page report. And it does get into your demographics and your economic activity. And, you know, got a lot of help from town staff in terms of providing us feedback along the way and discussing this plan, but also in providing us with information on your current permit activity, which has been pretty impressive. And so that's just another demonstration of your presence in the marketplace and people think So development is going to happen at this interchange. And because you have a very, very strong presence in the Madison County marketplace, thinking about what kind of development you have and how that comes online and how it contributes to your community is really the best way to make certain you get what you want. Because if you don't plan for that, somebody's just going to come and look at your zoning and build what they want. As long as it meets your zoning requirements, they can just go forward. And so having a plan like we are proposing here, based on market feedback, is really a good path forward. So I guess the bottom line around the market analysis is you really need more rooftops in this area before you really try to seek and attract some higher level development, perhaps mixed use development, perhaps destination development type investments that would give people other reasons to enjoy living in Pendleton. And so I'll get into, when we talk about the plan itself, I'll get into that in a little more detail. But please take a moment to look at the market analysis. I know you have that electronically, probably demonstrated to you all. Take a look at that. If you have any questions regarding that, please let us know.
And if anyone wants a hard copy of it, I can always print it out and throw it in your mailbox or get it delivered to you. Just let me know what you guys need.
Yeah. I have to say that was one of the most thorough plans I have ever read. I couldn't believe the depth to which you folks went.
Well, thank you.
Examining Pendleton and the surrounding area. I have a couple of questions based on it, but go ahead.
Okay.
You may well answer them before.
Yeah, okay. Well, and part of why we're here tonight, obviously, is to present where we are in the process. But you have hired us to develop the plan to another level than where it is today. But we are here today to inform you of what we've done and to give you time to digest that and tell us, yes, continue on to the next phase. We know we're not going to get that authorization tonight, but we are interested in knowing if we are at a point where we can continue on to the next phase of development. So at this point, we have your concept plan done. We've done an assessment of drainage within the area and the drainage requirements and some estimates of how much land may need to be set aside for stormwater management. And so we're here to just give you a quick overview of that. Again, Rachel has the plans electronically, and you can take a look at those and provide us with more feedback. So this plan here really just talks about the watersheds, where the water is moving through the site. You know, you have your Rosa Fry drainage area on the east side, which has been studied great length. So we have a pretty good idea of how to manage that stormwater. And then we have, and some of that Rosa Fry actually starts on the west side of 69 and comes to the east and then goes down. And then this portion, about at that line there, goes west to the creek. So we have an idea of what land needs to be set aside for stormwater management. And as Rachel mentioned, we are in conversation with your utility organizations, agencies to have an idea, further idea in the final report regarding utility service, you know, for sanitary and gas and electric. Now, how about if I make this right side up? Okay, so what we've done in looking at this area, we studied what made sense, you know, in terms of, and we had a couple of iterations of the study area boundaries. So these edges moved around a bit in the course of doing our planning. But what really came out of the market analysis is that in order to get some higher level development, which we know eventually is going to be of interest at this location, we need more rooftops. So these yellow areas are showing residential development opportunities within the interchange master plan study area. We are showing that you would likely, as part of your master drainage plan, you would likely develop some stormwater management ponds on the west side, which would provide a bit of a buffer and also parkland for, the Pendleton residents that are living and will be living west of the interstate. And so that could very well be a regional stormwater management plan where the town did some of the stormwater management facilities, which can then really facilitate development. Some of this could become part of the residential development. So when you have a master plan in place and then somebody comes to you and says, we like your master plan, we'd like to do the single family executive homes up here. We can say, okay, well, we want a piece of our stormwater management plan done as part of your project because you have stormwater management responsibility. And so you can get part of your perk built using the private development. It may be that by the time this develops, the rest of that gets developed. But you can see where this more intense development near the interchange would have a very nice buffer between your nice homes that already exist on the west side of Pendleton. So we're showing 146th Street extension into this area. Obviously showing the residential development here. We are essentially putting a placeholder on this land, which is just shy of 400 acres, and essentially saying we don't really want to do anything there today. We want to hold off developing in this area until, as the market analysis tells us, we have more of this other development happening. And then we can actually justify a higher level of development here, which will generate a higher tax revenue for the community. And then thinking about how you utilize TIF to benefit the community even more so that you can have that TIF revenue to spend on building the infrastructure and the parks and things of that nature. We have identified, and our market analysis supports this, the Advanced Manufacturing and Technology District on this northeast quadrant. Given Indianapolis' growing tech sector and for instance, what's going on in Fishers, and Mayor Fatness has indicated he'd be happy to come up and talk to Pendleton about tech and how you pursue technology investments. He loves the idea of surrounding communities working on doing the same, because the bigger the ecosystem gets, the better it is for everybody who's participating in the technology sector. So we do have an area dedicated here, just a little bit over 260 acres. And then we have the Falls Point Health and Wellness District down here around the new health facility, card. And so thinking that perhaps some of our residential development might be senior oriented and one of the active living senior communities, and then thinking about how we might have trails that then connect to your health and wellness center, and also within your stormwater management facility down here, some trails through, I mean, you call them stormwater parks, but they're really a park that provides stormwater management. So some trails in there would be appealing. And so we think a senior living facility would make sense here for active seniors. So Del Webb is a developer that a lot of people are familiar with that do those types of active living communities. And so that would give people who live in Pendleton, who have enjoyed having their historic home here, but they're now getting to at that age in life where they'd like to move into a facility where somebody else takes care of all the stuff outside of the home. And that would give them a place to still stay in Pendleton and still be part of the community and be able to use the wellness center and the trails in this area. And then your Pendleton Business Park is a fair amount of that has been built out. We know we're having some activity in future development. So we're showing that that could expand down to Fall Creek Road. And then one of the other ideas we have in the master plan for you to consider is, at this point, abandoning vehicular use of Fall Creek Road going up to State Street. We know that we have a lot of accidents here. And the idea is this would just be converted into one of the bikeways as opposed to being used by traffic. So given the uses that we have in this area, we don't have to provide access to these parcels right there.
You suggested that Fall Creek Road
from
right there would
it would continue this way, but it would not continue in this direction.
It would be sent into the wellness district there?
Yes. So that's kind of an overview of what we're proposing. These white dashed lines within the master plan are just suggestions of where trails might be done. So when you have a residential developer come to you and say, I'm ready to do this, and they go ahead and they start buying the land and come to you then with plans to develop your overall master plan, part of the requirement of their approvals can be that they build trails that are in the master plan. So there's ways to use this plan to get some of this vision built to extend your trail and connectivity in the community. So I think, unless you think of anything else, I think that pretty much covers where we are at this point in time. The next phase of what we will do, once you say, yes, this is where we want to be, please continue. The next phase will be adding more detail to this plan and then providing you with a narrative and report that you can then use, similar to what we've done in the market analysis. You can then use when people come to you and talk to you about development in your community and say, well, here's what we have planned on and change. And if they have something that fits within what you're trying to attract, then it makes it that much easier for everyone. So, one of the reasons why we added the advanced manufacturing and technology district is because those industries attract higher wage employees. So that was one of the goals of the project. We do have a small area which goes up to and could potentially include your existing mobile home park area. And we're showing that as higher density residential multifamily. So some apartments in that location. I think there's been some discussion about whether or not the mobile home park is a long-term use at that location. And I think there's been some discussions with the operator to that fact. So we've added that component into the plan. And at this point, I'd be happy to take any additional questions. I don't know if I answered all your questions, Greg.
Yes, we did, but I have another one. Help me with this. Did I read this correctly, that in your market analysis within the industrial group, technology fell with it?
Yes, technology is industrial. It's a light industrial use as opposed to a heavier industrial use. We've had many, RPC has had many conversations about business district out there not becoming any more heavy industrial and right. Moving towards that. And when I first saw that, I was a little alarmed that your little temperature gauge thing, yeah, which was very helpful. I love it. Good. And on the web drive, yeah, that includes high tech, which is exactly what we'd like to move on. Yeah. For half more. Yeah. And I would like to say that joining me tonight is Alan Pedahaga. He's our civil engineer, and as Rachel mentioned, he's been meeting with your utility people and discussing obviously the multi-service within this area. And so that our next phase of development will have more information on that. So when a developer comes and you pull this book out, you actually have information that they can start utilizing to determine whether or not this interchange could meet their needs, whether you could service their needs properly. I also have with me my colleague of over 20 years, Brandon Trigg. Anyway, Brandon was project manager for your downtown revitalization plan. And as you know, that plan successfully was used to get state money for facade restorations in your downtown. And then he was also project manager for the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. So Brandon and I have long history.
We do. We're very invested in Sunbelt.
Yeah.
A lot of our,
we've enjoyed, really enjoyed working there.
Yeah, it's great community.
Yeah.
And words and all.
One thing I think needs to be done is, can you explain what's supposed to happen here? Because it's a little bit more complicated but very interesting.
Okay, yeah.
Over time,
yeah.
I want to hold that open and why, yeah, and what that protects in the downtown area.
So, so we, in the course of doing our market analysis, we said, tell us if it's feasible for a destination development or mixed use development or a corporate headquarters or something, you know, a more intense development can happen here. And essentially, in order to get a mixed use development where you have street level commercial retail, shops and restaurants, and then you have housing above, and maybe a mix of housing and office, and then perhaps maybe even, we honestly think that it's certainly not beyond the realm of possibility that you could attract a corporate headquarters that is looking to build their own kind of place that has a visual presence on the highway, and then have the type of additional mixed use development that their employees could actually live in. So they could have a live, work, play environment right there. So in the course of doing that study, essentially came back that you're not going to get that to happen until you have more of these rooftops, because you have to have the nearby residents that are more regular customers. I mean, you're going to attract people from outside of Pendleton to come to this when it does get developed. But we are calling that a future Keystone Development District. And our recommendation is that the town be very, very picky about what they allow to have happen there, because you are in a very, very good position when this develops out to be able to attract something very, very special and to get the additional tax revenue that that special development will have. Another reason, I mean, the demographics and the market analysis essentially says that's a fact. You really do need to hold off on that. The other reason for not doing commercial retail and promoting commercial retail, because you could get restaurant franchises to build along the highway, right? You could sell those outlots, right? But we want something at a higher level of development than that. And so we want to hold off on that and just essentially say, you know, until we realize more of this dream and get this park buffer put in place, we're not going to let anything happen here. We're just not ready to talk about that. And what that does is that allows you as a community to continue to build upon the good work that's already been done in the downtown with the downtown merchants and restaurants that you have, and to allow these rooftops to be in place in order to be able to support this downtown, all of your business activity downtown and this. You need these rooftops before that gets built.
If I could put that in a different way, just clarification. So from my standpoint, this plan, can you hear me?
Well, Adam is living, I think.
So from my standpoint as a town manager, my first mantra on this, or my first goal on this plan, is to make sure it doesn't harm the downtown. And so if this mixed development was allowed to go in earlier now, it would suck the energy right out of the downtown. Economic energy, vibrance, all that. And so by waiting until there's a higher population, that when mixed use comes in here, it would not drain, but complement and supplement what happens downtown.
One of the things that did come up from just our conversations with stakeholders, several people said, can we get a grocery store out here?
Yeah.
And again, you're not going to get that until you have more room.
And but additionally, us not wanting to do anything harmful to the downtown. I don't think we want to do anything harmful to our State Road 67 corridor either. We do have commercial out there as well. So again, like Ken has said, through this, we do need to get more rooftops. We have these 3 distinct areas in Pendleton, and how do we allow those to grow properly without harming ourselves?
I'm glad you brought that up for viewers, Scott, or somebody. What's the status of these yellow rooftop areas? Are they keen for development? Are we twisting arms? Do we own any of that? What's the...
Almost everything that's highlighted in yellow, except for the southern portion, that's south of the purple area. All of these properties are they're in Pendleton proper, so we have jurisdiction over them. We could potentially look at annexing in that southern yellow area, but everything else, and right now, of course, we're under that moratorium, so we're not accepting any new subdivision requests at this time, but I don't think we're going to have a problem filling those areas in if we continue on this path of good development.
So this area is outside of the TIF?
It's outside of town. And typically, we may have to go back. So if we adopt this plan at some point, once we get all of our kinks worked out, once we adopt the plan, we likely need to go back and look at our TIF districts and redo our TIF districts, because we really don't want to TIF residential areas. That's just not working for us. And then make sure that we are picking up the areas that we do want to have business development in, or we just need to make sure our TIFs are in order if we adopt this plan.
Absolutely.
And Rachel, one of the things we can do on that, you're exactly right, but one of the things we could create a brand new TIF district of just this area. And that can be used as developers' bonds and incentives for to entice folks to come there. We can give them, they always want to know what can you give us? Well, abatements are always, but everybody can give that. But to set up its own TIF district to give incentives for these folks, that's I've noticed that's a big lure for developers.
And if you do the stormwater management piece, so say you use TIF revenue to get stormwater management in place, it makes it much easier to attract development when they don't have to do their own stormwater management.
Right.
Yes.
One other important piece I want to pull out of this too and talk about a little bit is, there might be some worries that, what happens with Falls Park, but as part of the park plan that has just been completed, they are looking at kind of satellite areas for Falls Park. We continue to get the rooftops that we're getting. That could be detrimental to Falls Park, getting too many people coming into that central park that we have, that we do need to start looking at opportunities to have park and open space outside of our downtown area, just to, again, so we don't get overrun and our park deteriorate. So this would be a great opportunity to start, doing some additional parkland outside of Falls Park and golf course.
It was no brainer.
Yeah. No
and then the other thing I would say is once this plan is completed and you do adopt it as part of your planning documents for the community, the developers, and we had a couple developers, stakeholders on our calls with an interest in housing here right out the gate. Once you adopt the plan, if they go out and start buying up the land, you really accomplished something. And they will be the ones that will purchase the land and then come to you with their development plans. But the closer they align to what the vision is for the community, the easier their approval is going to be.
And having a plan in place, of course, I'm a planner, so I'm always an advocate for good plans, but it really helps us as staff before anything makes it to our plan commission. It helps us weed out maybe some of the things that Pendleton, we know up front we don't want. And so we could say that really doesn't align with our plans. You know, you may need to go back to the drawing board and look at your development again and come back when you have what we know we want. It really helps us give, you know, kind of our rules to be here. You know, and if you want to be here, you need to check the boxes. And if you don't, then we're not even taking you to a board or commission.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so she's actually, she likes these plans to be able to keep you from having so much more work. I'm trying to tell people, no, we don't want you.
I mean, it's a lot of work. And it's a waste of all of our time if we're dabbling in things that we know we are not interested in up front. So, you know, and one thing that concerns me, when I look at the southeast quadrant of our interchange, we have a mix of, you know, multifamily, we have Tractor Supply, we have, you know, the fast food restaurants. And I don't think if we had that as a blank slate today that we would have developed it that way. I think we would have chosen something else. And we basically have these blank slates on the other parts of these quadrants. And so let's do this in a way that it makes sense for us, it makes sense for our future, and it represents what we think we are as Pendleton.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions?
Questions from the commissioners? Lynn, Adam?
I don't have questions.
No, thank you. Thank you for presenting this. This is very informative, and a lot of work went into this, so I appreciate it.
Very thorough.
Thank you. We are happy to be assisting, and we certainly, for the years of doing work here, have really come to appreciate the special place that Pendleton is. And, you know, we think you have a very, very unique opportunity here to plan for some very, very strategic growth and development that will add to all the great things that Pendleton currently has to offer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So in the next month or so, please digest that market study that we sent you. Take a look at the documents that are in Google Drive. And then if there's any questions that you have, if there's something you feel like is off or you need to talk it out, as staff, I'm happy to help and walk you through anything. Or if there's something we can make changes on, we absolutely can make changes to this. It's not set in stone by any means. And then I'll gather up all the commission's feedback if you guys have anything, and we'll take it to Ken and we'll rework whatever we need to rework, or get the answers for you guys if we don't have them.
You want this by a certain time, the next meeting?
I'd say by the next meeting. Just take some time to review it, give us your feedback. I know as part of this, we are going to, as staff, need to take this to the plan commission at some point. We want to make sure that they're on board with this, and then it will eventually go to town council too.
So by the next meeting, we need to look over the marketing analysis and the other documents in the Google Docs that relate to this, and get with Rachel if you have questions or comments or changes by the next meeting, okay? February 4th is the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the we're off to lapel.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a 7 o'clock. So good timing. Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we will proceed with the Community Sports and Wellness Center update.
Yep. Give me just a second. Get that back up. I've got some pictures.
Are those from the Wellness Center? It is stacked, stocked, and ready to go?
It's open.
Wow.
My neighbors joined. They love it.
I've played pickleball there several times, and it's a beautiful facility.
Good. I'm glad you guys have there. Okay, so Community Sports and Wellness is open. They actually they opened to the public on December 14th. However, they actually had opened up the weekend prior to the 14th. and had a tennis tournament there. So that's one of the photos from the tennis tournament that was hosted. And I've heard they've had nothing but great feedback from the tennis community about it so far. These areas show kind of the weight room area. You know, they have this turf area for sprinting and whatever else you want to do on turf. And they've got group classes, rooms for group classes and cycling. This area with the wood floor right now has a bunch of bicycles on it, the stationary bicycles. It's eventually going to be furniture, like almost like a living room area. You can see more about the weight room, and then they have full basketball courts in there that can also be turned into volleyball courts or pickleball courts. They have the garage doors that open, so when the weather is nice, they can have that all opened up. They've got a really very cool area for gymnastics and tumbling, and they have a ninja program too. So my daughter loved this space. She did not want to leave when we went out to visit. They also have a toddler area for toddler gymnastics. I guess they have some type of a sensory program out there too. They're certified, and I don't know all the details about this, but it's a special thing I hear. So that's going ahead. Of course, the tennis courts, and then they have a food area, and they also have a pro shop when you first walk in. So I was out there last night, and it was busy. It was looking good. It was really exciting to know that we started with this project that was a dream, and then we got it done, and it's built, and people are using it and excited about it. So it's done very nicely. There's still, go ahead.
Any word on the number of memberships?
No, I have not asked. They have a temporary certificate of occupancy because there are still some things that they need to finish up, such as landscaping and paving through the top coat of their parking lot. However, just because of the timing in winter, they needed to hold off on a few things.
Sure.
The community hospital side of the building has a temporary certificate of occupancy, but that's all almost finished up as well. And I'm not sure when community is supposed to be moving in to do their piece of it, but it's ready for them.
Do we know what that piece is going to be?
Yes, so they're going to have some doctor's offices in there for physical therapy. There's also a kitchen that is getting installed because they want this to be a holistic place where it's not just about working out, but it's about therapy, it's about learning how to eat well. So there's going to be some food programs in there too to teach you about nutrition. There's also an area that for people with Parkinson's, I think it's called the Rock Steady program, where those with Parkinson's can go in and it helps them with balance and working through those issues. So there's a lot of parts and pieces that are on the community side of it too that I'm really excited to see once they get everyone in there to do that.
There was talk at one time that there might be a Doc in a Box type clinic. Is that maybe still?
I think maybe still. I think one of the outlots would be probably where something like that would get located. Okay. Not in this particular piece of it though.
Cool.
Yeah, so if you haven't been out, certainly call and see if you can get a time to go out and they'll give you a tour of it. Like I said last night, there were several families and individuals that were coming in that were getting tours of the structure, and it's pretty exciting. It's very cool.
So this isn't necessarily our thing to do or the town's thing to do, but I didn't know it was even open. Are we going to have a big ribbon cutting ceremony and all that?
They are going to have a big to-do at some point in time. I know with their soft opening on the 14th, they wanted it to be a soft opening because they wanted to work out the kinks and everything and not have it be overwhelming at first. So, and of course with COVID, that put some extra challenges in it. So I do expect. I mean, Andy Card likes to host a good party, I think. So at some point they'll be doing some type of a grand opening.
Cool. That's beautiful. Or nicer than I thought it would be when we started.
Very nice.
All right. Any comments, questions about the Wellness Center? We'll move to the revolving loan fund. I did quite a bit of work on this. But we wanted, the last thing we were going to do with this was take it to the Pendleton Business Association, the PBA. Steve and Lynn were going to do that. The PBA at that time, I'm not sure if it's still the case, was not meeting due to COVID. The last thing I heard, there might be a flyer that came out of that. Was there a flyer? Is there a flyer? Do you have anything on that?
We had a application with guidelines.
That's it. So does anyone know if the PBA is meeting?
Yes, they are going back to in-person meeting on the third Wednesday of every month, which their next meeting will be the 20th at 6 p.m. at the park.
You and Lynn, and you and Steve for that?
That was February 20th?
January 20th.
January 20th. Yeah, that should work for me. And where's the meeting?
At the, let me double check. I think it's at the park board, the park. That's where it's at. So I'm assuming that's what it's going to be.
Not the community building, the brand new building where the park.
Yes, yes.
So to reiterate, you two were just going to talk to them about what this thing is, what we want to use it for, what they might want to use it for, get some feedback, get some information from them, so that we can finalize that application, make it as easy to use as possible. And just get some feedback from the business, but why they haven't used it. Did they not know about it once the Form 2 wrote owners?
Yep.
Very cool. Do we have anything else to discuss about that? Nothing?
Can I ask something about that? That's the only reason I'm here for.
Sure.
Sure. So I need to go up there.
Please, tell us who you are.
I mean, I was here January of last year. Joshua Ring.
You know who you are, but
yeah, Joshua Ring, 203 South Broadway.
Thanks.
So I was here last year at this time, and we were still talking. You guys were still talking about the revolving loan fund, and I believed you guys have been talking about the revolving loan fund for several years. I don't know that for a fact, but
yeah, right.
Yeah. And I made the comment: is why can't the RD? Because I don't think anybody else is going to ever do anything with this. Why can't the RDC do something with that? And like buy a piece of property and put out RFPs to developers to develop the properties that you guys want. Like, for example, the lumber yard that's just sitting there. So now nothing's ever going to happen to that. Put it over the top to be a good multi-use development that can provide the commercial. Talking about houses and rooftops. Well, another thing of rooftops is rentals, and you could do residential. Same thing. You're bringing in more people, support more downtown businesses instead of eating up your land with houses. Which I understand that too. It's tax based. So I don't know why. That's something that I mean, is that illegal to do? Can you not do that? I mean, why not grab the bull by the horns and make it happen? Because I don't think anything's going to happen. Like, Boyle Chevrolet would have been a good building property to buy. And you put out RFP to developers and see what kind of responses you get back, and then you go from there. But you tell what we're working.
There are several properties around town that if we were able to do a land purchase and maybe clean up some things about the site and then sell it, we could develop in a more intentional way. So for example, an area I'm thinking about is somewhat close to the interstate. We've had a couple developers approach us about doing, one of them wanted to do multifamily, and the way it was laid out would be it wasn't good planning. You know, what really needs to happen is several of the parcels need to get bought up. They need to be re-subdivided or re-platted, so it's one piece of land instead of 5 different parcels. We need to plan a road through it to give it access and then sell it so a developer can develop something on it. So, you know, we don't, unless we find a developer to purchase those parcels and then plan it, you know, we would hope that that would happen, but again, we could.
What's the likelihood of that happening?
What is the likelihood of it?
Yeah.
Someone is more likely to buy one of the smaller parcels, develop a smaller parcel, and then we're not developing in an intentional way.
So the plan that we spend a bunch of money on, which the Rivers Schneider did an awesome plan, you know, it may not actually work out that way because people buy the smaller parts of land and do other things with them. So then you can't really get the big bang for your buck. I mean, so that's how I think about it anyway. So.
Well, and for example, the lumberyard site.
Yeah.
There is one gentleman that owns it now. He also owns the PNC site. There's one other parcel in the middle, yeah. But it's almost a full block. The whole block could be redeveloped into something. But right now there's multiple property owners, so the chances of that.
Well, there's two of them.
There's 2 of them.
Well, I mean, there's the one gentleman that he may have partners, and then there's the older gentleman. But it's like, you know, you're going to drive businesses downtown. You're going to take care of your business, which will then want more people to come into town. I mean, it's about downtown investments and all this stuff. It's like this revolving back to the revolving loan fund, which is the whole point. If it's just sitting there.
It's not sitting. It's not sitting. The revolving loan fund. There is no money in the revolving loan fund.
Okay, but can you explain to me what that is again? Revolving loan fund.
It was a proposal that we came up with to money. But then the local businesses who needed money to help fix the buildings would come to us. Banks. We would approve all the plans.
Yes.
We would approve the plans, but it would be a way so that we could get a low interest loan or perhaps even a forgivable loan to improve their business or their building.
What's interest rates right now? Almost nothing. I mean, so I don't know how much lower the town can go in a lower. I mean, I'm just talking. How much of a much lower interest rate you can go? I mean, you can almost get money for free.
And this is why we're taking this to the PBA.
Yeah.
The revolving loan fund may not even be something that the town will need.
Yeah. Okay.
We might just decide not to do it.
But could the RDC, taking the revolving loan fund out, doesn't the RDC, I mean, you're the only commission who has the ability to go out and actually like drive the development, correct?
Historic Preservation Commission can also buy and dispose of property.
But does the RDC have they have something different besides them?
You guys control the money in the TIF district. So if you have TIF district money, you can purchase properties in your TIF, invest in them. So you guys have funding sources.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, it's cool. It's been a year. It's just like, I really, that right there will kind of, you know, do a lot. I mean, old Chevrolet was another one, you know, and then the Jesus Center, I don't know what else. That's another one. You know, those are parks that, in my opinion, should be.
There's areas in town that we could redevelop, and this would be a very logical board to look at those properties and see if we could help develop those.
Yes.
So we could take control over them and redevelop them.
Or you could drive the development instead of getting somebody else to come in and go, this is what we're going to do because we meet all your plans. I'm just like, well, that's not what we wanted. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Glad you came. If we got anything else on the revolving loan, CD?
I'm going to just re-sign the contract for you. They just had a board meeting. The director, Sparks, he had it pretty bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, for this year, being more active with I have a lot
lot of history with that organization. We're part of the whole bigger whole. Help us be part of that bigger whole.
Good. Right. All right. Do we have anything else to discuss, folks? Lynn, Adam, anything?
I'm good.
I'm good
No
as well.
I'm good. Hey, Lynn, I'll get with you next week regarding the meeting the following week.
That'd be perfect.
Second?
I second.
All right.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
That time of year.